Okay, so if you're finding that your movements are starting to look a bit stiff, then a simple thing I'd recommend trying is introducing some staggering. The way I see staggering is essentially that you're trying to take this single entity and you're trying to break it down, separate it into these individual pieces. If you take something like a walk, for example, you'll find there are these certain breeds of people who don't move their arms, and it's really uncomfortable to look at. And you can see the equivalent of this in some people's animations where, so when the head moves, the body will move the same distance at the same speed at the same time, as with the arms, as with the hands, everything is very uniform. But if we introduce something like staggering, where we separate those different parts of the body, well then you'll find that a bit of character starts to find its way into the movement. But it's not just for character animations. I mean, the general goal in animation and movement, whether it's a character or not, is to just make something feel alive in some weird Frankensteinian way. But anyways, so maybe you've got 3 squares and, well, you want them to appear on screen. I don't know what's on the squares, I don't know why they're important, but we're just doing a basic example here. Now you could just make them all come on screen at the same time, but if we really want to emphasize how they are individual squares, well then we can offset the movements. We can stagger the movements, and it's a very small thing. Now all this is not to say that blocky movements are always a bad thing. It's actually a pretty good way to make something seem a bit more powerful. So for instance, when you go from this more broken apart movement to then having everything be unified, well then it's like a big power shift, right? I used the words rigid earlier with this negative connotation, but well there are times that you actually want something to be rigid, because then that communicates strength. But you don't want that all the time.